the almost forgotten story of the Great Buffalo Slaughter, 1800s. A land before time, before cities, before highways, before farms. The land we now call Alberta was once ruled by something else. Not buildings, not machines, but millions of buffalo. Where and when? This story takes place on the open plains of what is now Alberta, and it happened in the early to mid-1800s, long before Alberta became a province in 1905. At that time, this land was wild, open, and alive. Buffalo everywhere. For thousands of years, massive herds of buffalo, also called bison, moved across these plains. They were so many. They looked like moving rivers of life. They shaped the land itself. Indigenous life and balance. For indigenous nations, especially the Plains Cree, Blackfoot, and Nakota, the buffalo was everything. Food to survive, clothing to stay warm, tools made from bones, shelter made from hides, and deep spiritual meaning. Nothing was wasted. Everything was respected. The change begins. But in the 1800s, something changed. As traders and settlers moved west, the demand for buffalo hides and bones exploded. Buffalo were no longer hunted for survival, but for profit. The Great Buffalo Slaughter. Very few people know this part. By the 1870s, buffalo in Alberta were almost completely gone. Millions of animals. Wiped out in just one generation. The land fell silent. Consequences for people. The disappearance of the buffalo caused a humanitarian crisis. Hunger spread. Starvation followed. Traditional indigenous economies collapsed. Communities that had lived independently for generations were forced to depend on government rations just to survive. Treaties under hardship. This crisis directly influenced the signing of Treaty 6 and Treaty 7. These agreements were made during a time of extreme hardship, when choices were limited and survival was uncertain. New systems arrive. Soon after, the Canadian government sent the Northwest Mounted Police west in 1874. Forts expanded, including places like Fort Edmonton. Alberta was being reshaped. Why this story is forgotten. So why don't more people know this story? Because textbooks mention it briefly. Because history focuses on settlement, not consequences. And because Indigenous voices were ignored for decades. Yet this single event shaped Alberta forever. Final reflection. Many historians agree. Without the collapse of the buffalo, Alberta's political and social history would look very different. This is not just a story about animals. It is a story about balance. And what happens when it is lost? Or the buffalo shaped Alberta. Their loss reshaped its future.